In the past year, viral videos have claimed that AI has decoded hidden messages inside the Bible, secret prophecies, mathematical patterns, even proof of events supposedly buried inside the text. The claim sounds new. It is not. The same letter-skipping idea was published in a serious statistics journal in 1994. 5 years later, mathematicians dismantled the claim in that same journal, showing that comparable results could be produced in War and Peace. Then, when the idea became a bestseller, Moby Dick became the public demonstration. The AI did not discover a new code. It repeated an old statistical illusion in a new technological voice. The story begins in 1994, when 3 Israeli researchers, Doron Witztum, Eliyahu Rips, and Yoav Rosenberg, published a serious academic paper in a respected statistics journal called Statistical Science. Their method involved equidistant letter sequences, or ELS. Take the Hebrew text of Genesis. Remove spaces and punctuation, treat the letters as one continuous string, choose a fixed skip distance, and read every third letter, or every 30th letter, or every 300th letter, forward or backward. Using this method, the researchers claim to find the names of 34 famous rabbis positioned unusually close to their birth and death dates, in a text written long before those rabbis were born. The list of rabbis, and the way their names and dates were formatted, had been chosen before the experiment. That detail mattered, because later critics would argue that small choices about spelling, titles, nicknames, and date formats could change the results dramatically. The original claim was striking. The authors calculated odds of less than 16 in 10 million, and the paper survived multiple rounds of peer review. That is why the story became so powerful. For a moment, a serious statistics journal had published something that looked, on its face, like evidence of a hidden code in an ancient text. It was not a random internet rumor. It entered the academic record, and that meant other experts could test it. The claim did not survive contact with other mathematicians for long. In 1999, the same journal published a formal rebuttal called Solving the Bible Code Puzzle, written by McKay, Bar-Natan, Bar-Hillel, and Kalai. Their central point was simple and devastating. The original experiment depended on many adjustable choices: which spelling of a name counted, which title or nickname counted, which date format counted, and which alternative forms were allowed. Each individual choice could sound reasonable. But together, they gave the experimenters too many ways to search until something impressive appeared. To demonstrate the problem, the rebuttal team used the same letter-skipping framework and the same kind of flexible choices on a completely different text, Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace. They were able to produce comparably striking clusters of names and dates in a 19th-century Russian novel. That mattered because no one claimed War and Peace contained an ancient prophetic code. The comparison was not meant to mock Genesis. It was a control test. If a method produces miracle-looking results in scripture and also in ordinary fiction, the result is probably not revealing a hidden message. It is revealing a flaw in the method. War and Peace was the formal academic comparison. Moby Dick became the public demonstration. In 1997, journalist Michael Drosnin turned the Bible code idea into a best-selling book, claiming that the same letter-skipping method could reveal future events, including political assassinations. The popular version went far beyond the careful academic paper. It turned a statistical controversy into a prophecy machine. When mathematicians challenged the claim, Drosnin issued a famous dare: if his critics could find a similarly encoded assassination prediction inside Moby Dick, then he would believe them. McKay accepted the challenge. Using the same broad ELS logic and the same kind of flexible search that made Drosnin's claims possible, he found apparent encoded predictions of real assassinations inside Herman Melville's novel. Drosnin did not publicly concede. But for anyone following the mathematics, the point was clear. If the method can find prophetic-looking assassination messages inside a novel about a whale, then the method is not detecting prophecy. It is detecting the consequences of searching a long text with enough skip distances, enough possible targets, and enough freedom to decide afterward what counts as meaningful. This is not a tiny technical detail. It is the entire reason Bible codes appear to work. Any sufficiently long text contains an enormous number of possible letter sequences once you allow searching forward, backward, and at many skip distances at the same time. Statisticians call this a multiple comparisons problem. If you run thousands or millions of tests, some of them will inevitably look impressive by chance alone, the same way flipping a coin many times will eventually produce an unlikely-looking streak somewhere. Then human pattern recognition does the rest. We are extremely good at finding meaning in noise. Psychologists call that apophenia. A cluster of letters begins to look intentional because our brains are built to connect fragments into stories. None of this requires fraud. It only requires failing to count how many chances you gave yourself to find a match, failing to lock the rules before the search, and failing to test the method against a text that everyone already agrees has no hidden prophetic message. Without those controls, the impressive pattern is not the result. The search freedom is the result. So what changed between the 1990s and now? Not the mathematics. The messenger changed. In recent viral videos and chatbot screenshots, users have begun presenting AI-generated Bible code answers as if they were new discoveries. Some frame the claim around grok. Others simply say an AI decoded the Bible. But the platform is not the important part. The important part is that the old equidistant letter sequence idea is being repackaged as if a new machine had independently verified it. Unless a chatbot response is connected to a controlled statistical procedure, it is not evidence that a statistical claim has been retested. Large language models generate plausible text from learned patterns. They do not automatically audit whether a method was already refuted, whether the sample was pre-registered, whether a control text was used, or whether the same method also produces results in ordinary fiction. That does not mean an AI system is lying. It means a language model can repeat a claim because versions of that claim exist in its training environment. An AI confidently repeating a claim from its training data does not make that claim newly true. It can make an old, already refuted argument sound authoritative again, because it arrives in the voice of cutting-edge technology. This is not a story about whether any religious tradition is true or false. That question sits outside what this kind of statistical test can measure. It is a story about one specific, testable claim, that ancient texts contain mathematically encoded, predictive messages discoverable through equidistant letter sequences. That claim was tested. The original paper was serious. The researchers were not cartoon villains or frauds. They used real statistical tools and made an argument that passed peer review. But peer review is not the end of scrutiny. It is the beginning of it. When other mathematicians examined the choices behind the experiment, tested comparable methods in other texts, and showed how easily impressive-looking patterns could be produced, the claim failed. That distinction matters. A religious text can matter to people for reasons that statistics cannot touch: tradition, theology, ethics, memory, worship, and meaning. But when someone says a text contains a mathematically measurable prediction, that is no longer only a spiritual claim. It has become a statistical claim. Faith does not need to rest on a spreadsheet. And when a spiritual claim is converted into a statistical claim, it becomes vulnerable to statistical testing. In this case, the test was done decades ago. New packaging does not change the underlying mathematics. The lesson here is not about mocking anyone's beliefs. It is about a much older, simpler idea: any claim dressed up as science needs to survive the same scrutiny as every other scientific claim, whether it comes from a 1994 statistics journal or a modern chatbot conversation. The Bible code claim did not survive that scrutiny the first time it was tested. The mathematicians who solved the puzzle did the careful, unglamorous work decades ago. The rest of us just have to remember to look for what they actually found. Subscribe if you want to keep following the questions that do not have clean answers. See you in the dark.